Hi, I'm Yi Lin from Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, and I'm here at ASCO 2023 presenting the end-of-study results on CARTITUDE-1, which is the study that led to the FDA approval of ciltacabtagene or CARVYKTI for patients with relapsed refractory multiple myeloma. So we have already seen in the previous years from the primary analysis that this single infusion of CAR-T treatment for patients with myeloma with no follow-up maintenance has a very high impressive response rate, with 98% of the patients having some response and 83% of the patients on the study having a deep response, a stringent complete remission. So this year, we're reporting with an average of 3 years of follow-up, we're seeing that these patients on the study now has an average progression-free survival or average time of remaining in response, in remission, of close to 3 years. So for all patients on the study, that was 35 months. And for patients who are able to achieve that deep response, the stringent complete remission, the average progression-free survival was even longer at 38 months. And for patients who had really deep response, so what we call negative minimum residual disease, or when we look in the bone marrow, we couldn't find any residual myeloma cells for at least 12 months after the ciltacabtagene CAR-T infusion. For those patients, the average progression-free period has not yet been achieved, and the average overall survival has also not yet been reached. So this is very exciting, very impressive clinical activity for this CAR-T, which is now FDA approved. What would also be very exciting that I'm also looking forward to being presented at ASCO is this very same CAR-T product being tested in another clinical trial, CARTITUDE-4, in which this treatment is being compared in a head-to-head comparison, a randomized control study with other standard of care drug treatment in earlier line setting for patients with multiple myeloma. So we have heard some news release that the CAR-T seems to have performed better than the standard of care treatment. So we're waiting to hear more detailed data. And this is obviously data that FDA will be looking at to consider the use of this CAR-T in earlier line setting for patients with multiple myeloma, which I think could be very exciting. So thank you very much for your attention.